So in Chambers of Commerce and Industry, Haslinda, we are here to show that ease of doing business in Indonesia is good. But the best way to show it is by investing ourselves, the local players in Indonesia as well.
Nobody covers Davos like Bloomberg.
And let's start talking about commodities. Coal in particular. We saw a record production of coal in Indonesia. So much of phasing out coal by 2040. What's the story there?
I think Indonesia will use this opportunity to not only increase the foreign reserve because of the export of the coal, but also to be very, very serious in downstreaming of the critical minerals, which of course is very good for electrification and just the whole decarbonization story. And it has always been the case, Haslinda, in the last, I would say 10 years, right? Trying to use the traditional fuel or energy so that we can move on to the next era, which is the renewable energy. And also, the government just about 2 days ago mentioned that the export proceed should stay home for the time being, I think about a year, and I think that's good. It's almost like a little bit of Indonesia first, policy to make sure that we continue to grow, the economy internally.
What happens to the whole ambition of phasing out coal by 2040 then? Is it still intact? And is it a case of, coal tycoons not wanting to let go because it is a profitable business?
Actually, quite the reverse, Haslinda. No matter how profitable it is, it is finite resources, right? So, in fact, what Indonesia is doing, as I mentioned, in the next 15 years, we're going on the foray of 100 gigawatt new installation electricity, in which 75%, which is 75 gigawatt, will be coming from renewable energy. And bear in mind, 75 gigawatt is basically doubling the installed capacity today. So I think, on the contrary, Indonesia believes that decarbonization is the way to go because, like we always say, we have the critical minerals below the ground, renewable energy potentials, and plus the biodiversity, the peatland, mangroves, as well as forests and coral. We should be able to monetize it sometime to also bring welfare into the economy by way of downstreaming.
You talked earlier about the new policy in Indonesia requiring commodities exporters to keep their FX earnings for 1 year within the country. I mean, how do you think that would affect businesses?
I think as long as the government is clear that the idea is to bring the money back to the country and investing in a lot of infrastructure projects, we spoke about going up the value chain by way of processing critical minerals and investing also in human resource. I think overall is good for the midterm and long term. In the short term, people will say anything about their cash flow, but as long as they can meet the cash flow operational requirements, I think that's good.
So you're saying that there'll be no impact on how they operate their business?
There will be some impact, but it will also force all the business sector to think about investing long term in the country. And if you look at Prabowo's vision, in 2045, which is just around the corner, in 20 years, we want to quadruple the economy. And that cannot be done without investing in health, education, infrastructure, downstreaming, digital, and so forth. And we think one of the best ways to, encourage investments is by way of the local players as well, like setting by example. So in Chambers of Commerce and Industry, Haslinda, we are here to show that ease of doing business in Indonesia is good. But the best way to show it is by investing ourselves, the local players in Indonesia as well.
Indonesia, known, as you said, for its critical minerals. I'm just wondering whether you're looking at striking deals, being the alternative supplier to China.
I think Indonesia constitutionally has been non-aligned. So if you can do that in business, all the merrier. So with China, we have done a lot, all the way to the vehicles like BYD, Wuling, but with the US, with the likes of Ford, we're doing also in terms of supplying critical minerals. And then with the Europe, even investors like Eramet and Volkswagen, they're also doing things with us in nickel. But remember, Indonesia is not only big in nickel, but also tin, copper, bauxite. I think we need to think strategically also how to go up the value chain, because it will bring, at the end of the day, welfare. It will bring jobs, which is good for Indonesia, being a large country with 285 million people and 60% below 40-year old.
There's been a tug of war between the government and Apple, and you're the new chair for the Chamber of Commerce. I'm just wondering how you see this tug of war, this, this tactic being adopted by the government.
Yeah. It's a tricky situation, but I believe the government will resolve it very, very soon. Number one, Indonesia wants to go up the value chain. It wants to build the local content.
But is it sending the wrong signal to potential investors?
I think if we can get it right very soon, it will send the signal that Indonesia is open for business. By the way, in the last 2023, for example, a little bit shy of $100 billion of realization of investment is in. But also, it is saying that Indonesia wants to grow, in life in terms of making sure that the local production, local businesses get along and also tag along in this, international expansion of companies like Apple, for example.
But isn't it hard to be open for business and be protectionist at the same time?
Well, I don't think it is protectionist. It is just making sure that you get it right the first time, right? And I think it's better to talk about it. I know the noise is out, but I believe, as it has always been done by Indonesia, opening up its door to international investors, I think we will sort that out.
Just to wrap it up, Indonesia also a new member of BRICS. I mean, how do you think Indonesian companies can capitalize on its membership?
Yeah. So BRICS, large population, large trading partners. I think Indonesia should continue to think about alternative partners. ASEAN is a good one, US, China, but I think BRICS will be another pool of market that we can address. Bear in mind, Indonesia is the largest Southeast Asian country, representing the only one in G20, and also very vocal in APEC, Global South. So for Indonesia to come in to BRICS, I think it's a good thing for the region as well, especially ASEAN. I know a lot of people saying, hey, how about your relationship with the US? But I think, we're always open for businesses to both sides. And I think it can also improve the relationship with the US.
All right, Anin, thank you so much.